Henry Campbell-Bannerman 1905–1908. The Edwardian era, spanning from 1901 to 1910, is named after King Edward VII, who succeeded Queen Victoria as the British monarch. This period marked a transition from the Victorian era and was characterized by significant social, political, and cultural changes. The era was a time of relative peace and stability, with the United Kingdom experiencing economic prosperity and technological advancements. However, it also witnessed the emergence of new challenges, including the growing demands for political reform, the rise of the suffragette movement, and the complex geopolitics leading up to World War I. The Edwardian era was characterized by a distinct sense of optimism and cultural refinement. It was a period of both continuity and change, as traditional social hierarchies persisted, yet societal norms and values began to shift. Rapid industrialization and urbanization brought about economic growth but also led to increased awareness of social inequalities. The political landscape was marked by the dominance of two major parties, the Liberals and the Conservatives, each vying for control and attempting to address the evolving needs of a changing society. Against this backdrop of social and political transformation, Henry Campbell-Bannerman emerged as a pivotal figure in British politics. Born on September 7, 1836, Campbell-Bannerman had a distinguished political career that culminated in his appointment as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1905 to 1908. He was a member of the Liberal Party and held a deep commitment to progressive ideals and social reform. Campbell-Bannerman's ascendancy to the position of Prime Minister came at a crucial juncture in British history. His leadership was characterized by a pragmatic approach to governance, seeking to address pressing issues of the time while navigating the complexities of both domestic and international affairs. As Prime Minister, he spearheaded a series of notable domestic reforms aimed at improving the conditions of the working class, while also managing the challenges posed by a rapidly changing global landscape. Henry Campbell-Bannerman, born on September 7, 1836, in Kelvinside, Glasgow, came from a family with a strong political tradition. His father, Sir James Campbell, was a successful merchant and a Liberal Member of Parliament, instilling in young Henry a deep appreciation for political engagement and public service. Campbell-Bannerman's early years were marked by a rigorous education, including studies at the University of Glasgow and Trinity College, Cambridge. His academic pursuits laid the foundation for a keen intellect and a lifelong commitment to learning. The death of his father in 1868 brought about a shift in Campbell-Bannerman's priorities, prompting him to leave a successful business career and devote himself entirely to public service. This decision reflected a sense of duty and a desire to carry on the family legacy of political involvement. Campbell-Bannerman's entry into politics occurred in the mid-19th century when he successfully contested and won a parliamentary seat for the Stirling boroughs in 1868. This marked the beginning of a long and distinguished political career that would see him rise through the ranks of the Liberal Party. Notable milestones in his early political career included his appointment as Financial Secretary to the War Office in 1886 and later as Chief Secretary for Ireland in 1887. His tenure in these roles showcased his administrative acumen and commitment to public service, earning him respect within political circles. The turn of the century saw Campbell-Bannerman taking on more significant responsibilities, serving as Secretary of State for War in 1895 and 1900, where he grappled with military reforms and the challenges posed by the Boer War. These experiences shaped his understanding of both domestic and international affairs, providing valuable insights that would prove crucial during his premiership. Henry Campbell-Bannerman's rise within the Liberal Party was characterized by a commitment to progressive ideals and a pragmatic approach to governance. As a prominent member of the Liberal Party, he aligned himself with the principles of individual liberty, social justice, and parliamentary reform. His ideology emphasized the importance of social welfare and the need for political reforms to address the pressing issues of the time. Campbell-Bannerman's moderate stance and ability to bridge ideological divides within the Liberal Party contributed to his popularity among fellow party members. His commitment to a more inclusive political landscape, coupled with a willingness to embrace necessary changes, solidified his position as a unifying force within the party. The early 20th century marked a period of political transition and realignment in Britain. The late 19th century had witnessed a series of social and economic changes, including the expansion of suffrage, the rise of organized labor, and the increasing importance of social issues in political discourse. The political landscape was characterized by a dynamic interplay between the two major parties, the Liberals and the Conservatives, as they grappled with these societal shifts. In the years leading up to Henry Campbell-Bannerman's premiership in 1905, the Liberal Party found itself at a crossroads. The Boer War and internal party divisions had weakened the political standing of the Conservatives, creating an opportunity for the Liberals to regroup and assert their influence. The public sentiment was increasingly leaning towards progressive policies, and there was a growing demand for social reforms to address issues such as poverty, labor conditions, and education. The Liberals, under the leadership of Campbell-Bannerman, positioned themselves as the party of reform, advocating for a more inclusive and responsive government. The political landscape was marked by a palpable sense of change, with the electorate eager for a leader who could navigate the complexities of the era and address the pressing issues of the time. The year 1905 proved to be a turning point in British politics, setting the stage for Henry Campbell-Bannerman's ascendancy to the position of Prime Minister. The political dynamics of the time created a conducive environment for a change in leadership, and several key events paved the way for Campbell-Bannerman's appointment. The resignation of Arthur Balfour. The Conservative Prime Minister, Arthur Balfour, faced mounting challenges and criticisms, both within his party and from the opposition. The Conservative government's handling of issues such as the tariff reform debate and the ongoing social unrest contributed to a loss of public confidence. Balfour's resignation in December 1905 created a leadership vacuum and the need for a new prime minister. Liberal victory in the 1906 general election. Following Balfour's resignation, a general election was called in January 1906. The Liberal Party, under Campbell-Bannerman's leadership, presented a compelling platform of social reforms, free trade, and a commitment to addressing the concerns of the working class. The Liberals secured a landslide victory, winning 397 seats out of 670 in the House of Commons. This resounding mandate positioned Campbell-Bannerman as the natural choice to lead the country. Campbell-Bannerman's reputation and unity. Henry Campbell-Bannerman's reputation as a seasoned and pragmatic politician, coupled with his ability to unite the various factions within the Liberal Party, made him a consensus candidate for the prime ministership. His track record of administrative competence, particularly in his role as Secretary of State for War, further bolstered his credentials. The Education Act of 1906 was a cornerstone of Campbell-Bannerman's social reform agenda. Aimed at addressing the deficiencies in the education system, this legislation marked a significant departure from the status quo. The act sought to improve access to education by raising the school leaving age and increasing the provision of free school meals for underprivileged children. It was a testament to the Liberal Party's commitment to creating a more egalitarian society by breaking down barriers to education and providing equal opportunities for all, regardless of socioeconomic background. The Licensing Act of 1904 was another vital component of Campbell-Bannerman's social reform initiatives. This legislation aimed to regulate the licensing and sale of alcohol, with the primary goal of addressing issues related to public health, crime, and social order. The act introduced measures such as stricter controls on pub opening hours and the issuance of licenses, reflecting a broader societal concern for the well-being of the population. By addressing the perceived ills associated with alcohol consumption, the Licensing Act was part of a larger effort to create a healthier and more morally upright society. As part of Campbell-Bannerman's economic policies, the Labor Exchanges Act of 1909 sought to establish labor exchanges across the country. These exchanges acted as employment agencies, connecting job seekers with potential employers. The aim was to create a more efficient and organized labor market, reducing unemployment and improving the overall conditions for the working class. By facilitating better matching of skills and job opportunities, the Act contributed to the advancement of workers' rights and the promotion of a fair and dynamic job market. The Trade Disputes Act of 1906 reflected the government's response to the growing influence and demands of organized labor. The Act provided legal protections for trade unions, safeguarding their right to strike and engage in collective bargaining. This legislation was a pivotal move in recognizing the rights of workers to organize and collectively voice their concerns. By promoting a more equitable balance of power between employers and employees, the Trade Disputes Act contributed to the strengthening of workers' rights and the establishment of a more just industrial relations framework. Henry Campbell-Bannerman's approach to foreign policy during his term as Prime Minister from 1905 to 1908 was characterized by a commitment to maintaining diplomatic stability and avoiding unnecessary conflicts. The Edwardian era was marked by an intricate web of alliances and tensions among major European powers, and Campbell-Bannerman navigated this complex geopolitical landscape with a pragmatic and cautious approach. One of the key diplomatic achievements during Campbell-Bannerman's tenure was the consolidation and strengthening of the Entente Cordiale with France. The Entente Cordiale, signed in 1904, was an agreement between Britain and France that resolved long-standing colonial disputes. Campbell-Bannerman continued to foster this alliance, recognizing the mutual benefits of cooperation. The agreement laid the groundwork for a more amicable relationship between the two powers and contributed to a sense of stability in European diplomacy. Campbell-Bannerman also worked towards improving relations with Russia, seeking to mitigate historical tensions and find common ground. The signing of the Anglo-Russian Convention in 1907 addressed various geopolitical concerns, including the status of Persia and Tibet. This diplomatic maneuvering reflected Campbell-Bannerman's commitment to establishing a balance of power and reducing the likelihood of conflicts that could disrupt European stability. The Prime Minister recognized the delicate balance of power in Europe and the potential consequences of unchecked hostilities. By pursuing diplomatic initiatives that aimed at strengthening alliances and fostering cooperation, Campbell-Bannerman contributed to a sense of equilibrium that was crucial in preventing the outbreak of major conflicts during his term. Campbell-Bannerman faced the challenge of navigating the diplomatic landscape during the Russo-Japanese War. While not directly involved in the conflict, Britain had strategic interests in the Far East. The Prime Minister pursued a policy of non-intervention and sought to maintain a neutral stance, avoiding actions that could escalate tensions or draw Britain into the conflict. This approach reflected a commitment to preserving peace and stability on a global scale. The Morocco crisis posed a significant diplomatic challenge, with tensions rising between Germany and France over influence in Morocco. Campbell-Bannerman played a diplomatic role in resolving the crisis through the Algeciras Conference in 1906. The conference aimed to address the conflicting interests of the major powers and maintain the territorial integrity of Morocco. Campbell-Bannerman's involvement showcased his commitment to finding peaceful resolutions to international disputes. The Prime Minister also grappled with the geopolitical complexities of the Middle East. The ongoing geopolitical struggles, especially in regions like Persia and Afghanistan, required a delicate diplomatic touch. Campbell-Bannerman's administration sought to navigate these challenges by engaging in diplomatic initiatives that aimed at safeguarding British interests while avoiding unnecessary confrontations. Campbell-Bannerman's tenure as Prime Minister was not without its share of domestic criticisms. Some critics argued that his social reforms were too ambitious and risked upsetting the economic status quo. The Education Act of 1906, for instance, faced opposition from those who questioned the financial implications and the potential disruption to established educational institutions. Similarly, the Licensing Act of 1904 drew criticism from certain quarters that perceived it as an intrusion into individual liberties. The Conservative Party, now in opposition, posed a significant challenge to Campbell-Bannerman's government. The political landscape was polarized, with the Conservatives scrutinizing the Liberal government's policies and actions. Disagreements over issues such as the budget and social reforms fueled intense debates in the House of Commons, reflecting the broader ideological differences between the two major parties. The period under Campbell-Bannerman witnessed increased labor activism and strikes, reflecting the broader social and economic tensions of the time. The Trade Disputes Act of 1906, while granting protections to trade unions, also faced criticism from employers and some political opponents who believed it tilted the balance too much in favor of organized labor. Managing the delicate relationship between labor and capital was a persistent challenge for the Prime Minister. Campbell-Bannerman was known for his pragmatic and conciliatory leadership style. Faced with a myriad of domestic and political challenges, he sought to find middle ground solutions that could garner support from both within and outside his party. His ability to bridge ideological gaps within the Liberal Party contributed to a sense of cohesion, even in the face of internal disagreements. In response to external challenges, particularly on the international stage, Campbell-Bannerman exhibited diplomatic finesse. Whether dealing with the Russo-Japanese War, the Morocco crisis, or other geopolitical issues, he prioritized diplomatic solutions over military interventions. By engaging in international conferences and negotiations, he aimed to prevent the escalation of conflicts and safeguard British interests without resorting to hostilities. To address criticisms and opposition, Campbell-Bannerman engaged in strategic political maneuvering. He was adept at navigating the intricate dynamics of the House of Commons, forming alliances, and making compromises to secure support for his legislative agenda. This approach helped him maintain a degree of stability and effectiveness in governance despite the challenges posed by a politically polarized environment. Rather than backing down in the face of opposition, Campbell-Bannerman remained steadfast in his commitment to social reform. He believed that addressing the pressing issues of the time, such as education and labor relations, was essential for the well-being of the nation. His resilience in pushing forward with these reforms, even in the face of criticism, demonstrated his dedication to shaping a more progressive and equitable society. Campbell-Bannerman's impact on domestic policies was profound, leaving an enduring legacy of social reform and progressive governance. The Education Act of 1906, which aimed at improving access to education, set the stage for subsequent developments in the British education system. The Licensing Act of 1904, despite initial criticisms, contributed to the regulation of alcohol consumption and its societal impacts. The Labor Exchanges Act of 1909 and the Trade Disputes Act of 1906, both addressing issues related to the working class and labor relations, reflected a commitment to social justice and workers' rights. The reforms initiated under his leadership laid the groundwork for a more inclusive and compassionate society. The principles of social welfare and equality that Campbell-Bannerman championed continued to influence subsequent governments, shaping the trajectory of social policies in the United Kingdom. In terms of foreign policies, Campbell-Bannerman's emphasis on diplomatic solutions and international cooperation left a lasting impact. The Entente Cordiale with France and the improved relations with Russia helped to create a more stable European diplomatic environment. His handling of international crises, such as the Russo-Japanese War and the Morocco crisis, showcased a commitment to preventing conflicts through dialogue and negotiation. The diplomatic initiatives undertaken during his term contributed to the alignment of British interests with those of key allies, laying the groundwork for future collaborations. The balance of power strategy he pursued helped to maintain a certain level of stability in European affairs, influencing the diplomatic approach of subsequent British leaders. Campbell-Bannerman's legacy is marked by a pragmatic approach to governance, which became a hallmark of British political leadership. His ability to navigate complex political landscapes, both domestically and internationally, demonstrated the importance of pragmatism in achieving effective governance. Subsequent leaders drew inspiration from his approach, recognizing the value of compromise and diplomacy in addressing diverse challenges. The social reforms initiated by Campbell-Bannerman set a precedent for future governments to address social inequalities and prioritize the well-being of the working class. The commitment to progressive ideals, manifested in legislation such as the Education Act and labor-related laws, became a cornerstone of liberal political philosophy in the 20th century. Campbell-Bannerman's influence can be seen in the continued efforts of subsequent leaders to build upon and expand social welfare programs in the UK. Campbell-Bannerman's emphasis on diplomatic engagement and alliance building influenced the foreign policies of later political leaders. The alliances formed during his term, particularly the Entente Cordiale, laid the foundation for broader cooperative efforts in subsequent decades. The recognition of the importance of maintaining strategic alliances in the international arena remained a key aspect of British foreign policy, shaping the approaches of leaders facing new geopolitical challenges. In conclusion, Henry Campbell-Bannerman's leadership during the Edwardian era left an enduring legacy characterized by social progress, diplomatic finesse, and pragmatic governance. His contributions shaped not only the immediate political landscape but also influenced the trajectory of British politics and foreign relations in the decades that followed. As a transitional figure embodying the spirit of change, Campbell-Bannerman played a pivotal role in setting the stage for the evolving political landscape of the 20th century. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future.